Bento Grids, a design element that has boomed in popularity quite recently. It provides a structured and functional way of presenting information while also retaining user attention with a sleek and modern layout, complemented with accents that make the overall design pop. You can't escape Bento Grids in any good design these days. So today, we're going to be learning all about Bento Grids, when to use them, and how to use them to provide maximum value to the user and make our design professional. At the end of this video, you would have a design resembling this. You can experiment with this design by changing the style, colors, font, and creating your own Bento Grids from it for your next project. So without further ado, let's start designing. We're going to be simply starting with a blank desktop layout. I'm just going to press F on my keyboard, then click desktop. Then it's going to be a 1440 by 1024 resolution. First thing we have to do is decide on the background color. For this design, I'm going to go with a black theme or a darker theme. So I'm just going to go 111111. This is the color value we're going to be using for the hex. Next up, we're going to be starting the design, but before that, it's a good idea to always include some content for your section. For example, this is a Bento Grid section, but it does something. The thing it does is it is a feature section that provides more information on the overall content of the product. So we're going to be having a simple heading here. I'm just going to have some text here introducing our exquisite offering. Okay, so we're going to make this bigger, so around 48 maybe. We're going to select this text here, exquisite, and we're going to convert it into an accent test. An accent means something that will have a higher level of importance, or it would be more visible than the rest. So here I'm just going to use the hex code FF5D2C, which is an orange color, and that would be our accent color. I'm going to make this smaller and center align it. And I'm going to reduce this to 52, the line height. Also, I think I'm going to go with 52 for the size too. Okay, that seems nice. Next, we're going to take some text for the subheadline. I'm just going to say we offer many features that will boost your productivity in creating your next successful startup. So just some descriptive text here. I'm going to reduce the size to be 14 since we don't want it really to take up as much space. I'm going to change the line height back to auto, which is not as big, but it's good enough for small text. We're going to be following through by giving this A3. A3 would be the a grayish color, which with not much of contrast, but still visible enough. Actually, I'm going to go with A7 just to make it more visible, just a bit more. So now I'm going to reduce the size here. I'm going to drag it inside and center align it to the content. So I'm going to take these two here, these two headlines, and I'm going to say, I'm going to call this just simply desktop, since we're not going to be really focusing on the landing page much. We're just going to be focusing on this section. I'm going to call this frame the header, or I'm going to call this the content of the header. Then let's reduce the spacing between them to be around 16 pixels. Next up, we want to say gets a demo. This will be our call to action text. I'm going to reduce it to 16 and give it a semi-bold font size, so actually weight. Then I'm going to reduce the line height here to auto, just to reduce it. Finally, we'll need some icon for the button to be more visible. Quite simply, I'm gonna create a triangle here, which is like a cursor type triangle. And I'm gonna remove the stroke and instead give it some fill. I'm gonna give it a bit of corner radius, around 1 would do. I'm gonna take this and make it maybe a bit bigger, around 12 pixels in height. And I think that's quite enough. For now, let's make it white. But actually, we want it to be fading away. Or we want it to be more shaded. So from white, we're gonna go to around this color, BA. Then let's take these two. I'm gonna call this icon 2, or we can call it accents, since this is just for creating a more memorable and more interesting button. We're gonna go to 8 pixel gap, central line it. Also, I might consider flattening it. I'm going to 12 pixels here. Maybe that's too big. 8 pixels. I think that's fine. So overall, we're gonna call this the call to action, or the CTA. We're gonna go with horizontal padding of 16 pixel, 32 actually, and a 16 pixel vertical padding. Finally, we can come here and just, before we give it a fill, actually, let's give it a full corner radius, 999. That is a pill shape container. Then the fill would be the orange color, but instead of just making it orange, we're gonna make it a bit more interesting by using gradients. The gradient would be horizontal, actually a vertical gradient. And we're gonna add a color stop, 2 more actually. So first, let's put everything as the primary color. So the point of all these color stops is to make shading, just to give the design more depth. So on the top, we're going to assume that the light source is coming from the top, and we're going to give this a more lighter color. Then we're going to drag this here just to limit the actual shade of the lights. Then we're going to take the last one and we're going to give it a darker color. That's quite enough. And let's limit it again. So now we have some bit of shading going on the button, which will make it just a bit more interesting, just a bit more vibrant, and it will provide a better user experience. Okay, we can just take these two and group them into 32 pixel difference here, and I think the headline here is complete. We can just call it the header section, and I think that's enough for it. Now we can get into the actual Bento Grid. Okay. So a Bento Grid. So if you see any Bento Grid out there, like, it might seem complicated, and it's not actually. It's very simple. So you have to focus on just creating content and providing value to the user in a way that is not totally like cluttered and unreadable. So we start simply by creating, let's create one grid, okay, one grid element. Actually, just to make it easier, I'm going to drag this down just to give ourselves a bit more space to work with. We won't need all of this space actually. We're just going to be using it for now. And the first element would be intelligent conversations. Okay, so this will be the first element. So this will be the title of the first grid. Let's make this a bit bigger. So I'm gonna go around 16 pixels or 20 pixels. I think 20 here would be better. And I'm gonna go semi-bold just to make it stand out a bit. Then we're gonna duplicate this. This time I'm gonna go with 14 pixels and regular. And this will be some supporting text for the title. So I'm just gonna give this a less visible color, A3, which is more of a gray color, which we actually used here. Okay, so now we can just replace the text actually. Instead of typing it all out, I have already prepared some text. you can put whatever text you like. You can make your own text or use this one. Doesn't matter. Then let's actually group these two. I'm going to group them into 16 pixels. And this would be the supporting content, the actual content, the readable content. And we're going to be needing an actual grid element. So Bento grids are composed of content and assets. These assets might be images of a dashboard, UI components of the actual software, or might be some illustrations. Now, today we're going to be using UI elements of a probable software. So quite simply, UI elements are something that could be included in the actual SaaS software. For example, if we are building this for a SaaS, this would be included in the software, but it won't really be the full page or the full design, but some part of it. So, for example, this software is an AI agents software. So it has chatting system between people and AI. So we're going to be including that here. So for example, let's create a message box, okay? How can your product integrate uh, integrates through my software? So this is what the user is asking the AI. So we're just gonna make this a 14 pixel. We're gonna make this white. Then we'll also need a stamp here for the actual text. So 1440. So it's 4:41 p.m. Let's say that this is obviously it's fake, but let's assume this is the conversation in reality. So now we want to group these two elements, and this would be the actual message. So the actual message. So then we're gonna just give it some spacing around 16 pixels. Would be quite enough. You can see that I landed to the left here, so that we can get this sort of message box here too, since it's aligned to the left. If it was aligned to the center, it wouldn't make much sense. And just aligned it to actually the right. I'm sorry, it's not left, it's right. Just to make it more like a message. Then let's actually give this some separation from the overall UI. The way we actually do that is very simple. We need a border and a background color for it. So first of all, we want to use a background color which is 1.15. So let's just click it, go add a fill, and I'm gonna go 1.5. You can see it's just a lighter amount, a lighter color from the previous one. We can go with a 16 by 16 pixel gap here, actually padding, and we can go with a 6 pixel corner radius. Let's make this a bit wider. Okay, that seems fine. And we also need some stroke since it's not really too visible. So we're gonna go with a 2A stroke. That's the color. You can just take the colors directly here, or you can experiment and try your own colors. So after this will be our message box, but we will need some avatar to like indicate the user. So I'm just gonna create a circle here, just a small circle. I'm gonna make it around 40 by 40. Let's remove the actual fill and right click on it. Right click here, go to plugins, and I will open the plugin called Unsplash, which is an image plugin. It's very popular. You can search for it online, or you can just install the Figma plugin. So I'm just going to use the first image here, which seems quite fine. And I'm going to go with a monochromatic design style, meaning we're going to be using one color only. So black, whites, grays, and this orange color. This is the only color we'd be using. So since this is a monochromatic design, I don't want there to be extra colors like a pink sort of here and brown. So I will go to the image. I'm just going to click the image, go to saturation, and slide the slider to the left, just making it completely black and white. I'm going to take these two. First of all, let's rename this image or IMG. I'm going to take these two and call it message. This is our message box, and 8 pixels I think is a bit too small, so maybe 12, maybe. Okay, we can stay with 8 for now. 8 seems fine. Okay, so this is one of our UI elements. So the idea of the website is AI agent. So we have to show the reply of the AI. So the idea of the website is actually that the agent can speak not only as not only not only as text with text, but also the AI agent could speak directly with voice. So let's just incorporate something that shows that. I'm gonna replace the image here with uh, an image here for the actual AI agent. We're gonna go over here and we're gonna be replacing the text with some voice indicator. So let's create that actually. We're gonna take a square, okay, a rectangle actually. We're gonna go give it 8 pixel width and some 24 pixel height. Then we're gonna give it a corner radius of 999, which is full. Then we're gonna give it an actual color of our accent. Now this will be one bar. Let's duplicate this a couple of times. So then let's actually make some adjustments to the sizes. So we're gonna make some of them taller and some of them shorter, just to like create a wave of sounds. We're gonna skip one of them. Great. Just random shapes here. Don't really have to be anything specific. Now we're gonna take everything here and I'm gonna actually rename the layers to be sound bar. It's a good idea to always keep your layers renamed and not just rectangle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because when your design eventually grows, it would be easier to work with. Okay, so we're gonna select all of them, Shift A, around 4 pixels. I think 6 pixel gap here works fine, actually. So we're gonna call it sound or voice. You can say whatever you want. I'm just gonna cut it. Go over to the text and Control Shift R. That's paste and replace. Then I'm gonna drag this so that it just fits its content. And this is the voice box or the voice reply that the AI gives the user. So simply we can just select these two messages and group them into a layer called messages actually. And we can take this one, make it fill the container and align to the right. That means this will start at the left and this will start at the right. Okay. Quite simply, you can go and reduce this spacing to around 24, I think would be better. And I'm going to drag this up top here. And this will be everything we need for our Bento Grid. Obviously, we can have an extra element here. Maybe the user says thank you for the AI or something like that. Let's just say thank you very much for the help and explanation. Okay. So this will be our overall conversation between the AI and the person. Let's take these two elements down. So this is everything we need for the Bento Grid. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select this, and this will actually have a background that is a bit more on the lighter side, for which will be the 151515, which we've been using. So we're going to take everything here, group them. I'm gonna group them and reduce the actual spacing here to around 16 maybe. 16 works probably, or we can actually go completely unseparated and go 0. And I have a plan for this, and don't worry, we're gonna fix the spacing in a bit. And we're gonna call this grid element. give it some padding. Actually, we're going to give it separate padding. So let's make this first of all fill the container. And let's go over here and give this a 16 by 16 padding. This too, we're going to give it some padding, 16 on the sides and maybe around 24 on the top and bottom. Obviously, just at the top, we don't need padding at the bottom. I'm going to fix the bottom sizing in a minute here. So we're going to select the whole Bento Grid element here and just give it a fill. The fill would be 1.5. Okay, so you can see it's just a lighter color from the previous one. And the same 1.5 color here is the one which we used inside here. So actually we have to select the Bento Grid element here and give it a fill. The fill here would be 1.1, which is the same as the background here. Now, you can see that there is no separation between the Bento Grid element and the background. So we can take everything here and give it, first of all, some corner radius. Then we can give it a stroke. And the stroke color would be the one which we've been using so far. It's going to be 2A. So since this is not showing, we have to clip content. And now it's showing. Okay, so let's make this a bit more wider. Just a bit more, okay. That seems nice. So the final touches would be, first to work with the spacing here. So the idea was we can create a rectangle, okay? We can create a rectangle spanning the whole grid element. You can call it overlay. Put it inside the grid. And since it breaks the layouts, we're going to make it ignore auto layouts. Then we're going to make it we're going to give it some gradient color. So the gradient for the background would be a linear gradient, which will be from 1.5 to 1.5. But at the top, it would be 0, okay? And that means we have this cool fading effect. Now we want to take this and put it at the back so that it doesn't actually cover the content. So we want to make the content at the top. Okay, we have to fix the layer. So we want the overlay to be on top of the message, but below the actual content. So now, since we want a smooth transition here and not an immediate stop, we will drag this. We will drag this stop part here. Now we have a cool fading effect just around here. Now we can stop here and this will be a good enough grid element, but we can go even more beyond what this offers and actually create a more interesting effect. We will create a circle here. Okay. Let's create a circle. This is not a complete circle, so let's make it a circle. And yeah, now let's put it inside of the actual messages here. And we're going to call this the accent. And obviously we're going to ignore auto layout. Then we're going to go, let's reduce the size and go on the top right corner. Then we're going to give it our primary color. We're going to put it at the back of the actual content. And finally, just to make it this cool effect, we're going to add an effect. We're going to choose the layer blur effect and we're going to increase it. So now it actually blurs and it looks cooler than just a random circle. So we're going to give it a pretty high value here. I'm going to increase that too. I like what I see. So around 250. We can go even more, around 272. I think could be nice. Let's just decrease the size here. And we would like to place it just at the top. And we want to make it behind the images, the actual messages. That looks very cool. So this will be our Bento Grid element. So obviously this alone cannot be a complete Bento grid. Since we have this, we can just duplicate it and try to incorporate more information. So I'm just going to duplicate this once. I'm going to replace the actual text here. I'm going to go here and replace this analytics and insights, and the actual subtext here, or the descriptive text. I'm going to change that too. Now this would be a bit more complicated, but since you already understand like how a Bento Grid element is created from UI elements, I'm not going to be doing that from scratch. Instead, I'm just going to copy it from another place here. Very simply here. Let's copy the elements here. Let's just paste it in. Okay, so we're just going to be showing a sort of a graph here, a graph element. So we'll need the headline or the header of the graph, and we'll need the actual graph itself. Okay, nice. So we're going to group these two elements here. By the way, if you want access to this file, you can just message me on my X. I'm going to leave the link down in the description. So you can just go over there and can contact me, ask me for the file, and I'll provide it. Okay, so around 32 pixel gap here would be nice, and we're gonna call it the actual accents, but we're gonna go with analytics. I did not spell this. Analytics. Uh, yeah, yeah, I think that's right. Okay, so then we're gonna take everything here. We're gonna cut it. We're gonna go over to the message here, messages, on top. I'm gonna go Control-Shift-R. Okay, so that will replace the messages with this analytics. Then we're gonna go with some padding as well. So 16 on the right. So on the top, we're gonna go with 24. Okay, that looks nice. But this time we're gonna need some more spacing. So we're gonna go here and actually in the analytics, we're gonna go with 24 also down here. Okay, so then we want to drag this just a bit so that we have enough space to show all our content. Yeah, okay, so we want this overlay always to be within the actual content. Yeah, and this time actually we're gonna drag the overlay down so that it doesn't really hide the analytics. So that's not something we need to hide really. Finally, we just need to put it side by side here in the proper orientation. Okay. Here, I think the better thing to do would be to reduce the messages here, to reduce the size. And here we can increase the size actually. Let's actually lock the overlay so it doesn't really interfere with our work. Yeah, we're going to central align it. Okay. Now, now the overall design would have an auto spacing here. So this is at the center, and this will just fill the container here as much as possible. Okay, so now to get this interesting effect that we got previously, we can just copy the accent, duplicate it, bring it over here into the analytics. Yeah, into the analytics. Just place it at the top, and we're going to take it at the back. Just place it right here. And now we have a pretty consistent and good looking elements for our Bento Grid. Now it's not much left to go. Quite simply, we can continue with the same trend of just duplicating this. actually changing the content here. Just changing the rows headline and the subheadline. And we can also just simply include different UI elements here. So let's just copy the UI elements from the external design here and just paste it here. Okay. So this would be some description for a list of the AI agents provided. We can Shift A, group these into a wrappable also layout. We're going to call this agents. Let's just cut it and come over here and let's actually lock the overlay. And instead of the messages, we'll have Control-Shift-R to replace with the actual content here, which is the agents. Now, again, let's just make sure that everything is in place. We want some 16 pixel padding on the sides and 24 on the top and bottom. We want to increase the spacing here just to give this enough space. I think this looks good. Okay. And we are almost finished. We will need to make the overlay, just fill out the container here nicely. We can locate it now. Then again, the last thing that we need here is to get the accent. Just copy it, go over here into the agents, just paste it inside here and go at the top left and place it at the back. And that's and the overall design is coming quite nicely here. Okay, only one design element or Bento Grid element is left. We're going to do the same thing again we did here, just duplicate the first one. And now we are sensing a pattern here. And actually, since we want the same heights, we can just duplicate this one and change the content, right? So change the content. I'm just going to copy it from my external design here and okay, change the content here and replace the design with a new design element here, which is going to be like this will be for the time that this is going to be indicating that the AI agents work all year long and all day long. So I'm just going to have to paste it here. This is one element and this is the other element here. Okay, now we can just take these two, group them around 24 pixel gap in between them could be nice. And this would be active periods. So that's the name of the accent here. Then we can just select this, cut, go over here and replace it with the agents. And we're just going to give it some padding here, 24 here, some padding on the left and right, and more padding actually here on the side, on the top and bottom. Then let's drag this in. Okay. And here I'm going to take the overlay and I'm going to make it longer since we don't really want this to be too obscured. Okay, now before we add the circle accent, let's just position it correctly. So I want 24 elements, pixels between them. Here too, first of all, let's do this. So let's just drag this to 24 pixels. Let's just take these two, Shift A. This will be one row of our Bento Grid. And this here would be another row of our Bento Grid. Okay. So finally, we want to drag this down here. And we want there to be an auto spacing here. So this will be down. Okay, final thing is we want to take these two and this we'll group everything into our Bento grid. Finally, we want these two to fill the container, right? So fill the container. So we want, so here you can see extra space, we can utilize this. And here you can see extra space, which we can utilize also. Okay. You can see that they're overflowing of the actual overlay here. So we can go over to this grid element, select the overlay, and make it wider. Okay. So now the final thing to do is just to bring the accent here, just to copy it, bring it over here to the active period container. And we're going to reduce the size here actually, since this is a smaller container. Then I'm going to place it at the back, as always. Then finally, we're going to take the overlay and make it wider. And just like that, we have all our Bento grids in place. Now, all that's left is to first fix the spacing. Everything should be 24 by 24, since we want all our vertical and horizontal spacings to be equal. Then finally, we just group it here and call this section our features section. For our features section, I'm going to go with a 64 pixel gap between the header and the actual content. And here we just need to place this centrally. 64 pixel from the top. Let's reduce the size of the layout here. And that's it. That's all you need to know to create a good Bento grid. You just focus on the text, or the actual content to describe what you are telling the user. And you need an accent, some visual element, most probably your visual elements or your UI elements from your software or SaaS. And you need to showcase them in your Bento grid. This is the simplest way of creating cool looking Bento grids with accents and that look interesting. So after all the dust has settled, we are left with this design. It's not too complicated, but does everything it sets out to do, which is communicating the brand features in a modern, interesting, and structured way. Thanks everybody for watching. If you want to improve your UI UX and web design skills in the smallest time possible, you can sign up for my private one-on-one mentorship and take your design skills to a whole another level. Only 2 seats remain in the program, so don't miss out and DM me on X through the link in the description below. Until next time, goodbye.